Now we're just heading on to the best practice tips. These best practice tips can be applied to any review platform, regardless of what you use. It's not necessarily just to Super Control, because we know that taking the leap and actually deciding to list your self-catering accommodation on a review site not only is a great marketing tool, but there's also an art to getting positive reviews. And I'm going to make a couple of suggestions that could help you encourage to get these positive reviews in the first place. But very simple. Simply a little bit of preparation can go a really long way. So the first thing always suggested is be honest in your marketing communications. If you don't deliver what you promise, you're basically leaving yourself open wide to criticism. So are the photos on your website genuine and up to date? Are the restaurants listed as close by, really that close? And will they be open during the times when your guest comes and stays? If you say you provide everything needed to enjoy basically a home away from home, do what you can to ensure that you've got all of those angles covered. Talk to your guests and be aware of sort of changing behavior, like what their expectations are. If you say that you're suitable for families and provide free Wi-Fi, make sure it can cope with the entire family's demands, for example. Always be as helpful as you can. Make sure that you provide the very best experience right from the beginning of your guest travel buying cycle. So do what you can to make it obviously straightforward and problem-free. Ensure that all the links on your website work. Obviously, you need to make sure that all of your availability is up to date and accurate, and the prices and the special prices are working as you expect. So you're providing this user-friendly online booking onto your website. The other idea is to respond quickly to all inquiries and correspondence. Do you actually provide all of the information they needed prior to their arrival? Do you provide contact details, directions, give them ideas of what's on in the area? Maybe if there's anything else you could reasonably do that could significantly affect your guest experience and provide that little extra touch that could really make all the difference to their stay. The third thing is always make sure your property is obviously in top-notch condition. Ensure that the property is presented to the very best that it can be, ready for your guest's arrival. And that's for every guest. So make sure that it's so clean it gleams. Don't take shortcuts and leave no excuses for those negative niggles. Make sure that anything that might actually annoy your guest is fixed before they arrive. Make sure all those light bulbs are working. Are there any creaky doors that you know need to be oiled regularly? Those sorts of things. Do you have a supply of spare toilet paper, washing up liquid, and tea towels? Basically, do you provide everything that you say you do, and does everything work? The next suggestion is always be responsive. So pay attention to the reviews you already have. Why? Because these experiences are shared online, are basically your shop window. It's one that can be viewed from both sides. It's shown to the World Wide Web what you have to offer and gives the opportunity for you to see your guests' reactions and basically find out what they really think. So regularly check what is being said and respond appropriately. From replying to reviews to taking action when required to improve that self-catering experience that you actually provide. Basically, listening to and acting on the feedback really would lead to happier guests, which would in turn to positive reviews. So we suggest a strategic approach to obviously collecting and managing reviews, obviously, because this will maximize all of those opportunities available for you. Okay, so the other thing is there best time to actually ask your guests to write reviews? The first suggestion is it's good to be proactive. You know what they say, if you don't ask, you won't get. So don't be bashful. When to actually send it out? I know that we said our rule of thumb is 2 days, but why do we say that? Because we all lead very busy lives. And basically, your guests are more likely to take action if doing so is made straightforward and simple as possible. So your follow-up post-stay email really provides you the perfect opportunity to do it. So send it within a couple of days, again, while it's still fresh in their mind, and include extra. Explain to the guests why their feedback is important to you, that you monitor all reviews, that you value the insight they provide. Now, obviously, we've mentioned that with UpFront reviews, this is automated, so you can set how many days after departure you'd like to send that review request. Always act quickly and be responsive, sort of engaging in the conversation with your guests, because that's really more important now than ever. We live in this really social world, and unfortunately, reviews are just going to be a part of it. So all correspondence with guests, both past and present, can basically become a part of your marketing mix, an element of it. So it might be shared on Facebook, maybe on Twitter. You can actually go ahead and include some of your guest reviews on it. And always remember, you need to monitor your online reputation. Why? Because it's obviously going to allow you to identify different opportunities. If someone maybe posts about their stay on Facebook, maybe ask them for a comment and ask them to share it on your review listing, so you can resend that request email link. Now, another step is, should you reply to all reviews? Now, there are many reasons why we believe you should reply to all reviews, but the first reason that we would suggest you do it is because it's polite. Basically, replying enables you to thank your guests for taking the time to write a review, and it assures your guests and even your prospective guests that you actually appreciate that feedback and that you've actually gone ahead and listened and take customer service seriously. It's social. Marketing is basically all about making those connections and pitching people first. So responding to reviewers basically helps you build this rapport and demonstrates that you're open to conversation. It's personable. Posting a response basically proves that there's a real person behind the business, not just a faceless logo. You get the chance to tell everyone how you're going to put things right and maybe even when that's going to be happen. It helps you build trust. It shows that you're responsive and that you want to improve and grow your business. So I've mentioned all the good reasons why you should reply, but there are reasons not to reply to all reviews. And obviously the biggest one is it can be time consuming. When you have to do so many, it becomes tempting to reply with what we call stock answers, which we don't think is good practice. We're not suggesting that. What we rather suggest is that if you check your listings daily and respond to your reviews as and when they're submitted, you're keeping time allocated to writing replies basically to the minimum. You're just doing it once occasionally and not having to do a big chunk, taking a big chunk of your time. Now, it can be difficult to remain original and not become sort of repetitive in your answers. You need to remember that you need to try and keep your content fresh. Replying promptly with an idea of when a conversation is still fresh in your mind is really good. Maybe it's a time when you want to mention, say, for example, that 4-year-olds comment that your property maybe looked like a woodland cottage from a fairy tale, or how delighted everyone was with the chocolate fountain that you actually sourced for one of their family celebrations. So you're adding a little bit of personal touch there. Don't leave it all on one person to reply. Get help posting these replies. Basically, the person who had the most contact with your guest or has a story to share is the ideal person to actually reply. And adding those personal snippets of conversation like this actually helps to maintain your relationship and show some personality. There is also the suggestion that if you have a disgruntled guest, then there's this fear that if you actually engage with them, you may actually exacerbate the situation. However, we suggest that it's not a good idea to keep quiet in the hope that this reviewer will just go away. Rather, we suggest that you post a reply to say that you've sent them a private email to discuss things further, basically as demonstrating to other guests that you take their comments on board and that you aim to resolve the matter. You're trying to just remove the conversation from the spotlight of a very public platform without ignoring the facilitator. So you're still responding to the guests. Maybe in the case of if a guest is happy, send a brief and courteous acknowledgement, thanking them for their comments and that their time is always appreciated. The reason why is because all of these are online conversations are basically marketing opportunities. They're providing this additional platform to promote exactly what a holiday at your property actually fulfills and sort of what expectations you meet and hopefully exceed and how you're going to continue to grow to add to that experience. It's giving guests, both existing and future guests, a reason to book and come back again and again. So how do you respond to negative reviews? Now, obviously, when you list your property on a review site, there is going to be a chance that you're going to receive a negative review. Now, receiving the occasional negative review actually provides you with a great opportunity, we think, because it gives you an opportunity to grow your business. It's also good market research. It reveals exactly what guests actually want and what they don't want, and what they basically will and will not accept. Now, there are ways to reply to a grievance that can be to your advantage. Basically, your response to a negative review can help you provide an even better experience, actually leading to more and more positive reviews that are submitted. Now, there's lots of coverage in the media on how to respond to a negative review, but 5 things I wanted to highlight were: number 1, respond quickly. If you don't receive notification when a review is submitted, keep a close eye on your review sites, because when a review is posted, it's basically important that you respond quickly, at the very least on the same day that it appears on your listing. Basically, this is going to be reassuring the guests that you value their feedback and you're listening to them. The second suggestion is to remain professional. You need to remember that the response you publish is being seen by anyone who comes across your property on the review site, so not just to the person that actually wrote the review. The first step is always to thank the reviewer for their feedback and to maintain that polite, although hard to take, tone. Don't get defensive. You can state facts. If a review basically is really especially riled you, it's really a good idea to draft your response and then revisit a couple of hours later just before you go ahead and post it, because done well, this good interaction can clearly communicate what this proactive and customer-focused quality service is that you provide. The next step is to always acknowledge their concerns. So if a guest has complained that, for example, the shower screen is leaked, thank them for bringing it to your attention. Maybe without this feedback, you would never have known that you had a leaky shower, for example. Sometimes feedback is going to highlight something that you didn't realize was a concern to some people and could risk upsetting even more guests unknowingly. So feedback like this obviously enables you to quickly make amends and be a great way to collect useful tips, basically to achieve even higher standards than what you already have. The other suggestion is always explain how you're going to fix the problem and when, because it's showing that you're prepared to be accountable and that you're taking action. There's more than likely not going to be only bad within the review. So basically emphasize the good points and try and end on what we would call a positive note. So within Super Control, you have the option to go in and reply to the review. So we're just going to take you through how to go ahead and do that. I'm also going to chat a little bit about requesting a removal. So to request the removal of a review, it has to fall into one of 5 categories. You can see them highlighted in the slide over here: defamation, slander, libel, obscenity, pornography, profanity, abusive, inflammatory, threatening, inaccurate, dishonest, untruthful, unlawful, and infringes copyright, trademark, or other intellectual property. So most of the reasons that we've listed above are quite obvious. We know that reviews will be removed, especially if they're unlawful and abusive, for example. But the hardest category that comes up often is the inaccurate, dishonest, untruthful category, because within this category, it is really difficult to prove that the words that have been provided, because they are opinions. They're opinions from both sides. So in cases like this, if you think that it falls within this category, we really, really are always going to suggest that you reply. Within the upfront reviews integration, you also have the option to resend a request. What happens is that if no review is left and the last email was sent 2 or more days ago, you can manually go and resend a review request. So now I'm going to show a video which Elaine again has kindly made in terms of viewing, replying, requesting, and removing upfront reviews, as well as resending an email request to do it.
When responding or requesting removal of reviews, you would go into Integrations, Upfront Reviews, and Reviews. This will then list all your properties and give you the option to view the reviews that have been left. So we'll select View for Coach View Holiday Home. There are 5 reviews, it says. I see one here. Click on the reference and you can see all the details there relating to the booking number and things you can click. So to add a reply, we use this highlighted link here. It will bring up a new box where you can type in your name. This will show to the guest, and you can also then type your reply. So make it polite, make it professional. Remember that the other guests are going to see the reply that you're adding. You would then just click Add Reply at the bottom. I'll cancel in this occasion, and that will pop it underneath the guest's review on the website. And then to request removal of a review, you would scroll to the bottom. Under this green line, you can select a reason as to why you want the review removed, and then pop a few details in this box before submitting request. That sends it through to Upfront Reviews, and it can be assessed to see whether we can hide it or take it down totally. So to resend an email for Upfront Reviews to a guest who maybe hasn't replied already, go into their booking and select 45, scroll down and use the Upfront Reviews tab here and simply click the Resend Email button.